Kids, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that are read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's an author, speaker, and from immigrant underdog to the polished Tony Robbins. He cracks the 7 human drives, rewires belief, and spark the hilarious brings powerful rebirth back to your authentic self. And the author of the book, Authentic Self Rebirth, no other than Mr. Polish Peter.
Hey, thank you for having me on here.
Welcome, Mr. Polish on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
I was originally born in Poland, the communist Poland country, and I came here to United States when I was 14 years old. Didn't speak any word of English, went to architecture. So I was designing buildings for many years up until about 2007. And today, I get to actually work with people. So I get to become a human architect. And what that means is I help people uncover their true authentic selves to be able to go and actually live how they were meant to live on this world. Because I think in the past, especially in the past 5 years, there are so many people that have not been able to be themselves. Like it's been so crazy out there that there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of worry, and people are wondering what's going on. So when you get back to your authentic self, you get to not be so impacted by what's going on out there.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Polish. Thank you. Let's start with the universal experience. What does it actually feel like to be stuck and not just be a job or habit, but in a pattern of being? How do we distinguish it from temporary pause or a simple contentment?
How do we? Can you rephrase the question?
Yeah, so how do you actually feel like to be stuck?
So to be stuck. Okay.
Yes.
Well, to be stuck, it's like the way I looked at it when I was back in 2011. I was what's called an optimistic depression, and what that means is, on the outside I was like looking like I was fine, everything is good, but deep down inside I was kind of depressed, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to do anything, and then everything felt like it was too hard to do, and didn't feel like there was any direction. And so, meaning stuck, it was just like I was kind of floundering, like sort of just looking, do I do this? Do I do that? And I didn't have any direction which way to go. That's basically what it means.
So how to pivot in being
Uh,
stuck,
yeah.
Mr.
So, how you
Polish?
pivot is one of the first things that most people don't do because they just look for a strategy, right? They look for the strategy. Okay, what do I need to do to get out of this stuckness? And what they miss is actually being aware of what is going on with them. What's going on in the world, what's going on with their mind, and the awareness of it all. And I spent probably about 70% of the book is about the book is divided into two sections. And the first section is called awareness. So we dive into everything that there is to know about yourself. So it's a very personalized kind of a guide that helps you find out everything about why you are the way you are, why you are not doing the things that you want to do, why you are doing the things that you don't want to do, and so forth and so forth. So a lot of this becomes uncovered. Once you uncover a lot of those things, now you have some kind of a clearing that you can now take some kind of an action. So it's not so much like a strategy from that point on, but you get sort of like pulled towards that purpose, towards what you really want to do in life, and then you just doesn't feel like stuckness. It feels like you just move towards it, like you take some kind of actions towards it.
Mr. Polish, the title's a dual meaning. Authentic self-rebirth implies both the death and birth. What is the authentic self that must be broken free from the specific tangible pain, thus clinging to it causing a person's daily life?
Wow, you're the first one I think that mentioned on the podcast that I've been up to this point where it talks about dual meaning in here. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because there is a death and then there is the rebirth that happens, right? So
Yes.
what that means that actually is that you, if you really think about this, when you were like little kid, at some point someone told you how you need to be in order to survive. What beliefs, like all the beliefs that you have about yourself, I call them blind agreements in the book, of like how you need to behave, what you need to believe and what you need to, your values and all those kinds of different things. You learned them from very young age in order to survive. And whether it's like operating from a place of worry, from a place of fear, a lot of times we're wondering like if I'm good enough, if I'm good enough at doing this and good enough at doing that, being a good enough father or a mother or a kid or an entrepreneur or a business owner, all those different things. It's operating from the place of lack, from the place of scarcity. And so the death basically that you're referring to is letting go and shedding that old self so you can get back to the authentic self that you were meant to be here. Because if you think about it, if you look at like a 3, 4, 5 year old, that 3 or 5 year old is not constrained by any kind of fears. They speak to anybody and everything. They have confidence. They're outgoing. They're curious. They're loving. They're all kinds of different things, right? So then, when
Hmm.
you start to operate from that kind of a persona, from that kind of a authenticity, all of a sudden, whether you're doing business or you're a father or you're a mother or you're an entrepreneur, now you are able to go and actually operate really powerfully. And one little specific thing that you can do, and I talk about it in the book, is the process of going through forgiveness. So having forgiveness for yourself or forgiveness for people in your life. So I have like a specific letters that you can write in there. I have little exercises that have people go through, because when you go through that forgiveness, it's freeing for people to be able to actually go and it's very freeing basically.
Yes, people, forgive yourself and forget and let it go. Beyond cliches, the idea of becoming who you are meant to be can sound like a self help cliche. How does your book framework move readers from the vague aspiration to a concrete, actionable, and proven process of self discovery and change?
So that's a great question. So the way I do it is, I'll give you an example. So for myself, when I came here to United States, one of the things I hated was my accent. I didn't like it. I didn't want to deal with it. I don't want to have the accent at all. I would in fact try to change it. And one of the things that I've discovered through this entire process is that what I looked at as a weakness is actually can be a very big strength for me. So when I
True.
reframed in my mind that about that, for instance, the accent, that it's a strength, now all of a sudden I'm looking from the perspective of how can I use it as a strength? Well, the way I use it as a strength is when I talk. Then if I am impactful conversation, I have a good topic, if I talk about something that's going to help someone, they will curiously start listening to me because they want to hear what I have to say, right? And now it doesn't stop me of speaking on podcasts or stages. Before I was very afraid to go up and talk to anybody because I would say, well, nobody understands me. Nobody can, know what I'm saying. And now I use it to my advantage. In fact, sometimes make a joke about it that if you don't understand it, the transcripts are on the back table, which there is no back table right now, kind of thing, right? But you can use it as a joke, you can use it for your advantage. And now I ended up speaking on over 100 stages so far, and it has helped me tremendously. That's one of those tangible things that you can look from the perspective of what, God made you to be here on this earth. And then don't use it as such a bad thing or as some kind of weakness, but it's something really powerful that you can use to help others. Hope that makes sense.
Powerful indeed and makes sense, Mr. Paulus. The proven framework. You call it as a simple proven framework. Proven by what? Your personal journey, clinical psychology, the outcomes of your clients, or can you briefly sketch the architecture of this framework and its foundational principle?
Yeah, so the framework is pretty simple. It's step one is awareness. Step two is you go through the rebirth process. And step three is basically living that. And the way I've done this is not only through my own self, like I told you this at the beginning of the podcast, that I went through optimistic depression. I went through a really hard time, and through this exact process, this exact framework, I've been able to live authentically for myself, with my family, with my wife, with my I've remarried. I'm happily married now with my kids, 3 kids. In my business, my business has grown tremendously because of that, because people can relate to that authenticity a lot more when someone's just putting something out there, right? I've also
Hmm.
done it with all my different clients, my coaching students. So I'll give you an idea. One of my students that I recently went incorporated this kind of a framework that I've been coaching them on is they had a hard time. The most deals they did in 1 month was 4 deals, and then after going through it, they ended up with 7 deals. Actually, I'm sorry, 9 deals the next month. People have been able to reconnect in their relationships. I've had one client who has not spoken to their parent for about, I won't say 8 years. And after they reconnected, and through them more authenticity, authentic self, and that forgiveness process that they went through during that step of awareness, they reconnected with the parent, and now they have a great relationship with the parent. So I can talk about so many different examples I have when it comes to health, I have when it comes to marriage, to business. Now, some of my students are not afraid to get on a call to have a conversation with someone that they've never talked to, like a cold call, because they know they're speaking from authenticity and are not, they don't have that fear conversation that they used to have. In fact, like there was an exercise I do with them on fear, of letting go of that fear and reframing that fear that they worried about. So there is, like I said, there's health, there is marriage, there is business, there is money, and so many different examples. So there is not really a scientific thing, just from my experience, from the real world stuff, for myself, for my students, that's been proven to be able to provide that for them.
Mr. Palace, let's talk about the catalyst of rebirth. In your experience, what is the most common catalyst that finally pushes someone from discontent into the active pursuit of their authentic self? Is it usually a crisis, a slow burn, or moment of clarity?
Well, I would say it's both. It's either the crisis or moment of clarity, but unfortunately, in most cases, I think what it is the crisis. Like, they come to a point where it's like, okay, this is it. I can't do this anymore, kind of a thing, right? I need something needs to change, and it becomes a must, right? It's not like a should, like people start like, well, I should do this, or I should go to the gym, or I should be more focused, or I should, spend more time with my kids, or whatever it might be. It becomes a must. And that is like, part of that whole entire process that helps them go and actually get back to that authenticity.
Very well said. Mr. Palace, very well said. Let's talk about the deconstructing the framework itself. The first hardest step in a work that rewards busyness. What is the critical first practice or reflection you prescribe to help someone create a mental and emotional space necessary to even begin this work?
Yeah, so you mentioned the word busyness. And I think one of the things that happens for a lot of people is they put so much on their plate, because the idea that we've been told, that the world has told us, is that the more you get, the more you make, the more you do, the busier you are. It's almost like a badge of honor, and you're going to be successful. So the more basically means success. But what ends up happening at the end of the day, you are working 80, 90, 100 hours a week, and you run like a chicken with a head cut off. Now, what I talk about is less is actually making you more productive and less, busy. So cutting out certain things. Like I've had one particular client who came with me, and they have 4 different businesses that they were running at the same time. And as we started looking at all their businesses and the profitability in the business, revenue, how much time they were spending in each business, what we discovered is there was one particular business actually that were spending a lot of time in there, but that business wasn't giving them a lot of money. So once we let go of that business, all of a sudden freed up about 15 hours of their week, a week, to be able to go and work on this stuff. So letting go is one of those things that helps people tremendously, whether it's letting go of um, something in the business, letting go of certain conversations, letting go of whatever it is that's very specific to that particular person. And one every single day thing that I do that has helped me tremendously is every morning I spend a quiet time with myself and I spend a quiet time with the Lord that I get to reconnect in that day every single day for about, it depends on whether it's 20 minutes or it's 45 minutes that I spend the time. You can start with like as little as 5 minutes to just reconnect and be aware of yourself, be aware of what's going on and spend that kind of a quiet time.
So, Mr. Palis, as an author, speaker, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, from the book perspective, I just want to impact people's lives. I feel like for the last 5 years, with COVID and everything, the world has been kind of, for a lot of people, has been kind of turned upside down, and they feel uncertain, feel like they're worried, stressed out. And I'm hoping that the book, I will impact as many people as possible to be able to get back to their authenticity. Because when they do that, I've seen so many times where there is some peace that goes over the person, irregardless of what's happening out there. You know what I mean? There are so many things that are happening out there, but I get to be in my mind, in my family, and with my people, be at peace and be able to take actions as opposed to being frozen. So on a short term goal, I want to go and one person at a time, just happily impact their life. And then the long term goal, I truly what if I could reach 100,000 people or a million people to that book could reach to make a difference for them, that will be amazing. But if I can just change one person's life, that's pretty amazing to me.
Definitely amazing. Bringing legacy to the world is something else. So, Mr. Palis, good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success. And what
Thank
would
you.
be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Well, I'm not sure if you want to be like me. I would say that for the people to be more like themselves, be them authentic self, right? So
Okay.
figure out what is it that you truly want. So I think I would want you to consider is this. If you could think about or consider what were you like when you were 4 or 5 years old? Or if you
Mhm.
don't know, ask the parent or someone like, what were you like? And ask, um, getting back and just maybe one way of being that you were there, maybe curiosity, maybe being present. Because think about it, little kids are very present with exactly what they're doing, what's in front of them. So the one piece of advice is I would say bring curiosity and present back into your life and start small. So start something, whatever's in front of you right now, whether it's your parent, whether it's your kid, whether it's your spouse, just be present with them in that very moment, and that starts to shift and get you back to that authenticity that makes a whole lot of difference in people's lives.
Well, thank you for that empowering advice, Mr. Paulus. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Well, one book that influenced me is when I finally after college I started reading the books was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. But there was one specific book that he wrote in that was pretty amazing, pretty powerful. It's called Outwitting the Devil. And it's if you
Mm.
look it up on Amazon, someone Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. It's a really, really powerful book.
Indeed, a powerful book, and thank you for that classic recommendation, Mr. Paulus. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And let's talk about the client who surprised you, having guided others through this. What is one story of a client transformation that surprised even you, either in the speed of their shift or the unexpected form of their authentic self took?
So let me think here. Okay, I got one. So one particular client, she came into and she was kind of stressed out where she had a business that it was like a spa business and she was helping other people and she was stressed out in her life. In fact, what has happened is her right arm was frozen. Like she couldn't pick up a cup, she couldn't pick up a phone, nothing, because something happened. Like she woke up one day and it was literally, she couldn't function it. So she went to all kinds of doctors, everybody, and all kinds of any kind of doctor she can think of. Nobody could give her the reason what the problem was. So we started working together, started having conversations with her and going through some of these processes and forgiveness and things like that. And wouldn't you know it, her arm started becoming alive. And she started being able to pick up a cup. She started being able to do normal things that she used to do. And that kind of surprised me, but at the same time didn't surprise me because I know a lot of things your body will carry what you someone put on you. And she had a lot of those things that she had to let go. Now, besides that, her business started to thrive. She ended up moving different clients into the business, and she started making more money. In fact, she started it's other ventures that has helped her grow tremendously since then. And to today, she's a very successful woman that I still talk to sometimes, and she's been thriving in her own and impacting other people's lives. So it's just you don't think there is some health things that are connected to it, but in this particular case, it just proved to me there is a lot of health stuff. Now she also had some um, like a heavy metal poisoning in her body, so she had to get rid of that. But this first part of letting go and going through this process have freed up for her to be able to touch and grab things and actually use her hand efficiently.
Yes, let it go, people, and money come to me mindset, people. So before we wrap up our discussion, Mr. Paulus, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and of course my book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 third season, and Mob Food 101 in sixth season 2. Geography 101, Love Letters, Movie 101 review, Music 101, our fifth season. Science 101, Sex 101, fourth season. Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcasts. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Paulus, the daily practice. Rebirth is not one-time event. What is a simple daily or weekly ritual you would prescribe to help someone maintain their connection to their authentic self amidst of these inevitable pressures of modern life?
So one thing that I've done after I went through this process and I wrote out this one-page document that is describing my authentic self. And that document sits next to my computer, sits on the wall, and I can see it daily. And when I meditate, I look at the document. It keeps me grounded and keeps me moving forward when it comes to that authenticity. So create yourself an authentic self, like on the book. If you look at the book, there is a on the line at the top. You can write your name in there. And you can do the same thing on that document and have it specific for you.
Yes, people. Let's do that and make our life better, easier, and more productive by doing what Mr. Paulus is talking about. So, can you please invite the listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now, Mr. Paulus?
Yeah, they can go to myauthenticrebirth.com and they can find all the information to be able to pick up the copy or learn more about it. And actually on Instagram, I have a channel called Authentic Self Rebirth channel. I share a lot of those powerful reels that helps people in less than 30 seconds or less.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Paulus Peter Kolat, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this to rise. So, Mr. Paulus, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Monica, people, see you soon.